Hi, chat. Good morning. It's actually really funny. Like, Durin actually got fucking nerfed somehow. But yeah, so here's what they changed about Durin. Wait, I can't read. That's not what I thought this said. Wait, what do you mean 25% of the base damage? Oh, I thought it was 25%. Wait, I can't read. Holy shit. Wait, it's actually a buff. That's kind of cool then. Okay, so at 2000 attack, the changes are a 1% nerf, a point something percent nerf. At 2500 attack, they're a 7% buff. At 3000 attack, they're an 11% buff. How easy is it to get to 3000 attack? It depends on the team. There are some teams that get pretty close. There are some teams that don't get anywhere close. It's capped to 25, I know. At 25% of the base damage, it's 44 motion value. But if you have a Morbillion attack, 44 motion value is 44% of a Morbillion attack, right? With the old passive, if you have a Morbillion attack, it's just 50% of 2000. The ratio is capped, but the amount provided by that ratio is just normal motion value. It's not capped by his attack, right? You can think of it as double dipping into the attack stat up until 2500, but it's still a buff above 2500, and arguably an even bigger one because the old passive punished building more than 2000 attack. The new passive heavily incentivizes building at least 2500, but doesn't punish you for building more, right? Yeah, like the old passive was like Client's passive. The new passive is kind of like how Nefer is like heavily rewarded for the early points of EM she gets because she directly scales with EM and EM increases the EM multiplier. But yeah, so it's like a massive buff for high attack Durin. Why do we need 3? It's not that we need 3000. Let's actually like just look at the Ascension passive and see how it goes. The old passive, it was just directly motion value, 50% of his attack, but it was capped at 2000. So the lower value between his attack and 2000, because if it's higher than 2000, it'll take 2000 instead. The new passive, it looks at the motion value and it increases that number based on his attack. And that increase is gonna be for each 100 attack, it increases it by 1%. And that's the new motion value. That multiplies his total attack. So at low attack values, the new passive is really, really bad. This is what both of the passives look like. The orange one is the old one. What was capped on the old one was the total damage dealt. And so once you reach a certain amount of attack, it just stops increasing altogether. What's capped on the new one isn't the total damage dealt, it's the motion value. And so once it stops increasing, once it reaches its cap, instead of going straight, it just turns into a slope. There is still a cap, but the cap functions differently. It stops increasing quadratically and it starts just increasing linearly. But it's still linear. Linear is better than constant. And so obviously the gap between the old passive and the new passive will keep increasing at higher attack values, even if it's capped. And it's a much larger buff at higher attack values. It's also a bit bigger than indicated here if you're using talent level 10, because the old passive didn't look at talent level and didn't take that into account at all, and the new one does. At 187.34, right? It just makes the gap a little bit bigger. By the way, that doesn't mean you want to go out of your way to get an insane amount of attack. Let's show the total motion value. It's still pretty close to linear scaling. Like, yeah, it's not exactly linear, but it's not that far removed from linear scaling. So it's not like he has a strict attack requirement. He doesn't need to get to 2500. We can also look at the amount of value provided by one roll of attack. You're kind of forced to at least be at like 1500 just from base stats. So this is the percentage increase from attack. First one is blue is new, orange is old. And for reference, a crit roll at like 300 CV is about 2.4%, 2.3, 2.4%. Up until you get to about the 2500 attack is almost as valuable as crit. But as soon as you get to 2500, it sharply decreases in value. But the thing is, very often you're not going to be exactly at 2500. You're going to be at like 2800. And then 300 of that attack is like not that good, you know? Now we can take a look at how the damage has changed on dark mode as well, because why not? It is a buff at really high attack values. Okay, wait. Okay, I think it's a buff as a whole, actually, because you do get to higher attack on carry Durin. Okay, good. By the way, chat, something that's really funny to me is, you know, what are the teams for white Durin that have the most attack? It's teams that have team-wide attack buffs. Who's a great example of a character with a team-wide attack buff? Chevreuse. What team did I calc for Durin Chevreuse? Oh, okay. Let's calc the team again with current values. We're back. We're so Barack, chat. We are so Barack. How much worse is ATK Goblet? I'm kind of curious. Yeah, it's pretty noticeably worse. Yeah, I guess now we can check Varesa, right? And then the damage. Yo, what? That's not normal. It's not this good. I fucked something up somewhere. I definitely fucked something up somewhere. Yeah, no, this makes sense. We can take a look at Finale of the Deep Durin as well. Finale of the Deep on him got so buff. It used to be so dog shit because his passive really punished you for building too much attack, it doesn't anymore. So you're like, you're not feeling awful about Finale of the Deep anymore. It's only 2k behind. That's like nothing. It's 1.4k behind. It's really not that big of a deal anymore. Bro, thank God Javar's heals. Holy shit. Lion's Roar. Yeah, I guess Lion's Roar would work. I don't think it's gonna be better, but we can take a look. Yeah, I think I forgot to take off the 12% from Javar's Cinder City on the last calc here. Yeah. This was Wolfang. This was Tubi Stoopies. This was Cinder City. This was Javar's. Yeah, the 12% shouldn't have been there. GG. Lion's Roar is about as good as Finale of the Deep, but it's, yeah, slightly better. This is interesting. Let's look at Iansan damage. Here, Iansan actually does do a little bit of damage. And then total damage, 5 to 6k. That's actually relevant enough to count. This is competitive with, like, optimal Mavuika combos in Varesa team. And it'll be a lot easier to play. Shit, bro, this Durin character might be good for Varesa. Let's update our calc for Dark Durin with the changes. Okay, so this is with the number changes. We can also take a look at lower constellation Mona for these things. Let's look at Mona C2. So Mona C2 I have at 100k. Mona C0 and it's at 89k. But other people are getting better numbers or are getting worse numbers. So I don't know, man. I'm not confident anymore. Yeah, this Varesa stuff is fucking insane, by the way. These assumptions are pessimistic. Optimistic assumptions have her above a 130k in this team for sure. Yeah, we can look at on-field Durin as well. Durin, Bennett, Furina, Mona I had here. There we go. Oh, that's pretty good. Sure, that's pretty good. Sure, as it turns out, being able to give Durin a set that doesn't suck complete ass is pretty impactful. Let's actually add Bennett damage and Mona damage to get a full team calc. 1.4k DPS. My goat. Finally, we have Mona. Yeah. So that's 20. Wait, that's actually kind of good. Wait. Instead of averaging it, I'll separate them properly. So we went to 119 from 118.6. So it's basically the same, but it's more precise. Yeah, I guess we can take a look at C0 Mona as well. 110k. That's kind of funny. Mona's C4 does double her C1 and C2 combined. I mean, honestly, maybe we just go scroll Bennett. It's better. Yeah, I'm not actually that surprised. This is making me kind of curious about on-field Durin for white Durin in non-reaction teams, like in overload teams and shit. We go Durin, Bennett, Official, Sapwood, Noblesse, Stringless, COM, Pav, Roll. It's 72k, but it's still not that good. Like, we do need to add official damage to this, but it's not gonna be that insane. That's not bad, you know? Bennett damage is gonna be like 2k, like 105k. I guess it's slightly better than Razor once we add Bennett damage, but it's basically similar. All right, chat. Time to tweet, by the way. Buffed Dark Durin is now probably the second best pyro carry in the game. Damn. As it turns out, buffing his synergy with high attack teams makes him kind of the GOAT with on-field, or with kind of the GOAT on-field with C6 Bennett. All right, chat. I just realized I tweeted about it. So I'm manifesting a nerf. I like, oh boy. So Furina has 2 meta teams. Yeah, but her time is ticking. This is all I have to say to Furina right now, okay? The only reason why Furina has a meta team is because Durin doesn't have a set that doesn't suck ass. So Furina enables Marie stay on him. But as soon as Durin gets a set, Furina won't be important to him anymore at all. He gained like 7k DPS from the buff in these carry teams. It needs Bennett C6. Yeah, it gets a lot worse without Bennett C6 because you're basically losing out on pretty much all this shit. GG. Minus 30k DPS. Isn't Durin DPS the same as Mavuika Premium? Durin DPS with C4 Mona is around the same DPS as Mavuika Premium. Yeah. How much does that team DPS increase with his signature? That's actually a really good question. I have no idea what to expect. I'll take a look. Athame Artist. Crazy. The burst damage isn't that good. Yeah, his sig is probably kind of ass, actually. It's probably not his best weapon. I wonder what his best weapon would be. Mid-splitter would be okay, but it's just a bad weapon overall now, so I don't know. Probably isn't that. Maybe Lo-Fi would be good. It won't be that good, though. It changed sig to 16 crit damage instead of burst damage. Are you sure? It's in Chinese tech. It also says burst on the Chinese tech. Are you sure? It says crit. Oh, it's crit. It's burst crit damage. I see. Okay, yeah, that's ass. That's really bad for carry Durin. Yeah, what weapon would be good? I guess Mid-splitter is gonna be best in slot. I don't think so. It's just such a bad weapon. This is 21 burst damage, 35% attack. That's probably better than 40 damage percent. But I guess it's gonna be hard to use Marie with this. Sure. I guess he doesn't have a good 5-star weapon in his carry playstyle, huh? That's crazy. That's actually wild. How much crit rate are we getting externally? So with this, you get like 70 base crit, 75 base crit, 90 with Mona C4. Yeah, this shit's capping for sure. Let's just look at Mid-splitter. I guess Finale is kind of ass, huh? Check equivalent. That's not gonna be very good. It's basically the same as Finale. We can take a look at what happens on his Sig, assuming you manage not to overcap. 148k. It's the same as Mistsplitter, but Mistsplitter doesn't have frame rate overcap issues, so Mistsplitter is just better. That's really funny. Is EM Sans worse than attack Sans? That's a good question. I think it probably is, but I guess I'm not confident. Let's take a look. Yeah, it is worse. Because Durin doesn't get that much EM, but his passive that gives him vape damage is the equivalent of like 1000 EM. So you're pretty saturated on reaction multiplier, even without a lot of EM. So EM isn't that good on him. It's not awful, but it's not that good. Is this too good to the point it's gonna get hit with a nerf? I fully expect him to get a nerf, yeah. I'm expecting them to nerf his charge attack, because his charge attack is really good. Like, I don't think the problem is Durin's ability to consolidate stats when he's on field. I think the problem is that they accidentally made his charge attack better than they intended. If they tune down the charge attack and get him to be like 120 something K with Mona C4, like 125, 128, something like that with Mona C4, I could see that making it to live. But I would be really surprised if this like 135 plus makes it to live without his best in slot artifact set. Nah, this is fine. The reason why he would want a best in slot artifact set is because his artifact set options suck. But this team is using a good artifact set. This team isn't affected by his lack of a good signature set. It's one of the few teams that isn't, and that's why it's performing so well. Sig or C1. Yeah, we can take a look at his C1 as well. Yeah, so in this team, it's a lot worse than Sig, but Mistsplitter is better than Sig. So if you have Mistsplitter already, getting Sig is literally worthless. How does he do with C4 Mona and Mistsplitter? I actually hope this doesn't make it to live. I do not want Mona's C4 to be doing this fucking much. Okay, I wanted to look at the Hu Tao team. Hu Tao, Durin, Sucrose, Singto. So Durin personal DPS here. Oh, that kind of sucks actually, right? We didn't put Singto in, but Singto will be like 15k maybe here. Probably a bit less. Meh, not that good. It'll be like 80 something K. It's not bad for Hu Tao, but meh. Oh well. Did he calc Kinich? I didn't. But I calc Kinich previously, and it should be a bit better now that the Durin buffs improved his damage. But like, this was Kinich before the buff in this team. Wait a second. This times 1.5 is a remnant of vape reactions, but that's not happening in this team. What the fuck? Okay. Okay, well that's pretty funny. Wait, what a pathetic amount of attack percent this is. Jesus Christ. Oh. Is it even a buff for this one? It might be a nerf for this one, actually. Oh god. It might be a nerf for this one. I think it's a nerf for this one, actually. That's really funny. Why is Albedo there? Albedo kind of pog. How? Well, he's doing more damage than Durin, and he's allowing you to actually proc scroll without it being cringe as fuck. I mean, how is it a nerf? Because it's a nerf at low attack. I guess at 1700 attack, it's probably like a side grade. Isn't Emily better with a shred change? Why would Emily be better? Like, I don't know if you've ever fucking played a Kinich Emily team with Iansan trying to proc scroll, but trust me, that sucks. It's not fun. It's not fun at all, man. Let's remove that fraud Iansan. She only buffs Kinich, who is mid. I mean, the Cinder City is procking and buffing Durin too, but maybe you're onto something. Albedo's already here. Oh. Oh, Furina. Ew! You don't have a healer anyways. You can't. But ew! That's disgusting. Maybe I should look at Furina Bennett Durin though. No, it's gonna be ass. What about Bennett instead of Iansan? I feel like you want the healing. That's a lot worse. Kinich on roll. That can't be better, right? What? Okay, wait, this crit ratio is wrong. What the fuck? Oh, shit. Wait, that's a lot better. What the fuck? Never gave him Codex, but I also had him at too much hit rate from the weapon for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what the fuck happened. I guess I just copied down and I forgot to change it. Yeah, not that much worse. 5e or 4e? This is 5e. Let me take a look at Emily instead of Iansan. So, probably Deepwood, Emily, Reverie, Durin. We lost like 35 ADP. Yeah, Emily's not doing that. Okay, let's not bother, actually. Let's not bother, actually. Remove Albedo for Emily. That's fake. Trust me, you are not getting the Cinder City proc if you do that. Yeah, and you're losing the shred, too.
Goose on the loose!
Yeah!
Goose on the loose!
Goose on the loose!